What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, good people? You already know what time it is. This is your boy, the historian. We are in the bird cage right now, live. We got a hit. We pretty much got somebody who's real close to me coming through here. Pretty much another one of my brothers who I played with back in the day, and definitely a Duval County legend, and has made some great strides in life. So sit back, relax, enjoy. We got you covered. It's the bird cage.
Okay, y'all, this is it.
Well, you know what? We can only do it right for you this time. And I'm just going to be real with you. The Ohio State Buckeyes won a national championship. It hurts to say that because I'm a dog fan, baby. You know, we whooped up on them in the Peach Bowl, so I got that over these jokers. But we're going to get to it in a little bit. But, man, I got to bring up Coach Brant into the building. What's going on, Coach, man? We got a special one tonight. How you doing?
Doing just fine, Harry. How about yourself?
I'm still kind of steaming about the Braves dropping draws today, man. That was awful. It was awful. So it's opening day. You know, normally when we lose opening day games, we have great seasons. That's what I remember. So I'm not going to sit there and get too crazy with it. But without further ado, I got to bring in one of my former teammates, former Ohio State running back, two-time Big Ten champion, Mr. Maurice Wells. What's going on, bro? Welcome to the cage, brother.
Oh, man, thank you. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you guys bringing me on, man. This is dope. So good to see you, Ryan. Nice to meet you, Brent. Yeah, man, I'm excited.
Yes, sir.
Man, you know, it's been a while, man. It's been a while since we really chopped it up, but definitely we're going to get into it today because, again, legendary high school career down in Jacksonville, Florida. The Derrick Henry, who's a household name, ladies and gentlemen, had to break this man's record. So put some respect on my dog's name. I'm putting it out there like that. So
he had a lot more carries too. He had a lot more carries I did too. But.
Well, I mean, and then he also
played. Had a lot of carries too.
He played at Yulee in 2A. You did it in 6A, bro.
Yeah,
so it's a whole different animal in a bigger classification. Shout out to Derrick Henry, though.
You know about that.
He been living up to his reputation, but you know what? This man did it at a harder level. So I'm giving my bro flowers that I went to war with, and I saw what he went through and what we used to do to him in practice or whatnot to get him to that point. So we got to take a little credit for that.
Absolutely, man. Sure. I'm glad you told me that because I didn't know he was only 2A. So I'm gonna use that now. I'm definitely stealing that.
Oh, you can. You definitely can. They can't mess with you about it.
Right.
But we gonna get into that in a minute, man. So tell the folks where you're from. How did you get started in the football? And talk a little bit about your family life, man. How did you get started in the football, and what was it like growing up or whatnot in your household? Because I know you had a unique childhood. Let the folks know.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's a good question. You know, I think for me, I just remember watching football with my dad when I was younger. You know, just not really understanding. The game looked cool or whatever. Actually, I'll tell you what. This is exactly how it started. So, you guys remember the movie Forrest Gump, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I watched that movie one day. I was really young. I might have been in like kindergarten or something. I was real young. But I remember that, there's a dude, he had the braces on his legs or whatever, but he somehow was able to run real fast. He could just, I'm like, how is he doing this? He's like some feeble little, like, he's got braces. How's he running this fast? He must be trying real hard. He's just like one of these folks who just, he doesn't even know his limitations. He's going to try real hard. So I said, I'm 5 years old, mind you. I said, let me just see how fast I can run. So I tried to run my fastest, and turns out, like, people are like, oh shit, like, you're fast. I was like, okay, I guess I am fast. And so that kind of was part of the identity. Watching football with my dad. And then one day, my mom comes home and she's got a flyer or something in the in the mail. Or how back in the day, you get stuff and you get stuff in the mail, or whatever. He said, hey, you guys want to play football? She came home. Me and my brother. I got a brother who's a year older, and I was like, yeah, shoot, let's do it. And so my first year I played football. My first year I'm like 7 years old. I'm playing. At the time I'm living in Maryland. And so they had Pop Warner, and then they had Beltway League. So Beltway League would travel. So that was like a higher league. So I'm like, I make that team, but my position was everybody's the same weight class. I was offensive line, defensive line, and kicker. My first year. Like, so that was my introduction to football. And everybody's the same weight class. So I was able just to use just grit, to kind of, I didn't know nothing about, I didn't know skill. I didn't have any skill in the game. I was fast, but I didn't know how to play the game. And so I just used that to kind of, make a name for myself. And the next year I transitioned to running back, and, the rest is history, man. My parents are military, so we moved around a little bit. I started off playing football in Maryland, played all the way up to middle school. Middle school, we did a little hiatus. We moved to Japan. I stayed there for a few years. And then coming out of so when eighth grade finished up, I moved to Jacksonville. And so now I'm excited because they start back playing football. I left off, it was heartbreaking leaving too. I remember because we was supposed to go to Japan, and I was still we were in the playoffs for the football season. So my dad left already. My mom and my brother and I stayed behind. We said, okay, we're gonna finish the season, and then when the season's over, we're gonna jet out. And so we make it through the playoffs, and we win the first game. We get to the second game the next week, and we lose. We should have won. I was hoping we'd make it all the way through because I'm trying to prolong it as long as I can because I knew when I leave, I'm not going to be playing football no more. And so we lose a game. I'm heartbroken. It was terrible. And so, fast forward, I'm coming back to high school now in Jacksonville, and I'm ready to get back going again. And I hadn't played in a couple of years. I was a little bit older. My body was different. And, I didn't know if I was still good anymore. And so I remember, and this probably been before was you there freshman year? Were you there freshman year?
Nope. Got to remember, I transitioned into the wood because I was supposed to play across the bridge, but they ended up sending me to a tech school my freshman year. But that was when I started getting in all kinds of trouble. But that's a whole nother story. We ain't
right, because I was saying, I don't remember you there on the JV team. But back then it was, you probably remember some of these names. It was Josh Evora. When I was coming in, it was he was the man. He was like, oh, that's Josh Evora. He got that freshman spot locked up. He running back. Oh, that's him. That's him all day. And sure enough, he got that spot. I ended up playing wing back.
Yep.
But I got Johnny Hunt he was a sophomore, but he was already on varsity. So I'm gonna get to him in a second. and so Josh Moore was a man. Freshman year, he get all the tailback snaps. I'm playing wing back. I get the ball probably 5-6 times a game. I would do my thing or whatever, but it wasn't what I wanted. I played some defense too, and playing defense is what allowed me to then go. But the JV season ended, I went and played varsity. We was a terrible team back then. Sandoval was terrible. We was like, and we was losing every game.
Hold up, before you say anything else, we don't mention the mascot on this show because I'm a Falcon fan and I always hated our logo. So we don't mention that mascot. We don't mention our high school mascot.
I got you.
Yeah.
So, I will a little tangent. Drew Brees would always kill it for me in fantasy. I will say that, man. He's one of my favorites just for that because he was solid every week.
It hurts because look, every time that I gotta look back at old pictures, I got two things. It's the logo that we got,
right? Yep.
And then it's the colors that we have,
right?
Because those are Georgia Tech colors, and I'm a Bulldog fan.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
That's tough. I deal with it on both sides, bro.
Right. Yeah, but listen, you stuck it out. Sure, you Sandalwood through and through.
Yo, was times I wanted to leave, but we ain't gonna talk about that. But
Right,
getting back to the times you were in the JV side of the house or whatnot, and you were moving up, and you saw Jossie Vore and all these guys getting up there. When you got up to varsity, and you finally was able to get a shot, and season was practically done with at that point.
Right.
Because I came in 10th grade. That's when I came. And I came 10th grade. Remember, I came 10th grade spring. Geis told me I came too late. And I remember Jamar Hornsby saying, our boy Hornsby. always had something slick to say. Always. Talking about something. Yeah, you came late or whatever. You know, I'd have bust you down like a fraction. Really? I will never forget that. And I don't know if you remember the first day of practice that I suited up. And I actually hit him in Oklahoma drills. I don't know if you remember.
Hornsby? I don't remember.
Yep.
You got him. Hornsby. I mean, he was skinny back then.
He was tall. That dog into a junior year. His 10th grade year, he was still
skinny. He was trying to play quarterback. He came in trying to play quarterback.
But real talk, Jamar was one of the. I got to give it to him. Jamar was one of the toughest cats that I played against. But my junior year, your junior year, when you started to break out, he was a guy that was still trying to figure it out. By his junior year, it clicked.
Because his junior was my senior year, and Jamar he made some great plays for us at receiver and at safety.
Man, and it was just like when I was playing it before I got hurt, and me and him were playing in that secondary. It was just like, bro, it just felt good. I ain't gonna sit there a lot. It was a good feeling playing back there with him.
Right,
but, man.
He about 6'4" back then too. Like
exactly. So they moved me to strong safety. So we were doing this on practice squad, Brent, before we even moved up. And when we go to varsity, this dude here, Coach Geis finally gets in his mind to give this guy carries at that point, and the season was done. And
hold on. I'm gonna tell you how that happened. I'm gonna tell you exactly how that happened. So
what happened?
Okay, so freshman year, I move up to varsity. I think it was like we was losing that whole season. It was one game I forgot who was playing. I think I had like put me in that wing back. Had a couple good runs. They got a good punt return. It kind of lifted us our spirits a bit. I want to say we ended up going down and scoring. That was like one of the last games of the season. And so after that season, because Coach Gillum was a coach before that. He had been there for a very long time. He was a good dude, really good dude. Matter of fact, side note, I was talking to Geis not too long ago. He was just telling me that I guess he just retired. Coach Gillum just retired or something like that. I'm like, dang, he was still working. But so he left, and then Geis came in sophomore year. And so now I'm coming in, you know, at this point, like you said, it's still all about little Johnny. You know what I'm saying? We had a senior back that Johnny was splitting time with. He left. So now it was all little Johnny. And little Johnny was good. He was fast. He was quick. Great punt returner. Strong. And he was a good back. So that for the first couple like three games to the season, I'm playing a little bit of wing back and mostly a wing back, and then mostly I'm playing DB. I'm playing corner. And so Ed White game come up. I want to say it's like the fourth game of the season. And them boys was Ed White, they was taking heads off. That's where Coach Gillum was at, matter of fact. Coach Gillum left and said it was Ed White. And so he had a little axe to grind, I'm sure. And them boys was killing shit all year. So that game was coming up. People was talking like, you know what's gonna happen. Because I think we was winning a few games that year. I think we ain't lost yet, but I don't know. But anyway, so Lil Johnny just ain't show up. I'm not sure what happened. He was just gone. He ain't come to practice. He ain't come. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened that week. But shit. I started that game, balled out. We lost the game. No, did we lose or win? I can't remember.
It was on TV because I actually was supposed to go because Geis and them was keeping me, John Jones, and the few of us that transferred from across the bridge because he kind of knew. One of my coaches that coached me in middle school kind of told Geis he a DB and he is safety. He can go and he can play tailback. So John came from Jackson.
I remember.
John did everything
too. Right. Yeah.
John did everything. Kick return, punt return, quarterback. Right. He did everything.
John, he had good size too and good speed.
Shout out to my boy. Shout out to my brother John Jones. I ain't talked to him in a while.
Yeah, me neither, man.
I miss him dearly, but that dude there was he was on another level. That's
he was always a great athlete. He was always a great athlete, man. I always thought he always shined in practice. He had a few times in the game too. He had some big plays, but
man,
but that's how it happened, man. I mean, after that it was curtains. I think we ended up winning the game, and then the rest was history. So
you finish your sophomore year. Now you have buzz at the Wood, and you pretty much are getting ready to come in the spring. I slide into the picture at that point.
Right.
So I'm a young cat coming in, and these cats is chirping, and you know how it go when you first
when I came in, it was all about Joshy Ford, and I'm sure it was all about Mo Wells, it was all about Reese.
The first time I met you, you was coming off the squat rack, and you said, "What's going on, man?" I was like, "What's up?" He was at the one thing I could say, Reese actually was very welcoming to guys that would come into that locker room right off the bat. And Brant, you already know what it was like coming up when the new guys come in or the young guys come in. You know how that goes. And everybody thought it was sweet or whatever. They already knew John. So I meet him, freaking Corey comes in. Out of all people. Corey walked by.
Corey Matthews.
Shout out to my boy Corey, man. Because I hated him I hated him at that point. Maurice gets off the rack. Corey did this. And he said, "Hey man, you need to get out the way, bro. You got to earn the right to get over here." I shoved him, and Maurice like, "Oh, he got some fight in him." Okay. And I just remember because you was an instigator. You used to instigate stuff.
I might say a little stuff on the side just to get things round up. But if it ever got to the point, I would never let it get too crazy. I kid you not, Grant.
We go out there. I'm being real with you. I didn't know anything. I didn't know from my head to my butt. I didn't know. So Reese comes out. Yeah, we're running through everything. And you remember before I got hurt, you remember I could fly. Right, that was the thing that a lot of people didn't know. So I was quiet. We raced. Reese beat me. Reese looked at me and said, "You ain't supposed to keep up with me. You knew." What? I said, "What the hell?" So we go through that. And Corey looks, he talking about, he ain't going to do nothing. We'll see what he do when he put on pants. All I know is I said, I'm just going to hit the first person that come across my way and try to make a name. And Reese like, Reese said, "You think you're going to be able to hit me, Sunshine?" And I just looked at him. I said, "You come this way." But it was that's just great interaction. And, we go through practice or whatever, and we get to that point. Now we get to spring ball. We go through all of this, Brant. The bond is starting to happen. We get to the season after the spring. The toughest loss we took, and I think that was the toughest that I ever saw you run out of all the games I watched you play, was against Tallahassee Lincoln. That was, and we lost that one by a field goal, Brant. So, overtime.
Early in the season, first game of the season, right?
First game of the season.
I remember because we was losing. That year we were supposed to be good. And we ended up losing that very first game. I thought, damn, here we go again. Like, I can't believe this shit. But I forgot all about that. Oh, that's right. That's right.
I didn't know. Look, that one hurt because from that point on, that molded the way that we played. And you weren't really a trash talker. I was the trash talker. You weren't. That was me. I was gonna run my mouth. You were the quiet. You was the quiet guy. I'll never forget. Reese stood up in the locker room and said, "You know what? We ain't gonna be trash this year. We already see this." And he rarely spoke. So he's like, we gonna win games and we're gonna get to the playoffs. And I said, "Hey, let's roll with it. I'm with you. Let's do it."
Right. And you did that shit too.
And that year, you had 3,000 yards in the season, 3,076 yards in the season. Ladies and gentlemen, Derrick Henry had to chase this man's record down. And Derrick Henry did it in two-way, by the way, which is a lesser conference. No disrespect to Derrick. He in the NFL killing it. But when you talk about Florida high school football, anything 5A and below, you know what it is.
Right.
That's where a lot of your NFL players come from.
Right.
So how was it?
That's quite an accomplishment. I mean, that's kudos to you, man. That is unbelievable.
I appreciate that, man. But listen, a part of it was the fact that we had Matt Ernest was our quarterback that year. Matt Ernest was probably about 5'7". He could throw, but he wasn't throwing that joker more than 10 yards. You know what I'm saying? I tell you what, he could command the offense. He could run them fakes. and he knew how to wheel that ball around. And so coach would give me the ball. Probably I run
30 times a game.
30,
Don't try to shy away from it. You got it 30, 35 times a game, bro. And you split
every game.
I would love to have you on my team when I was coaching.
Shoot, man, listen, and sometimes I was like, man, shoot, coach, give me a break, man. We got to throw it once, at least. Do something.
Brandon, you want to know what Matt Ernest was like? Matt Ernest was Stetson Bennett without that cannon of an arm that Stetson had.
Right.
That was what Matt Ernest was.
Right.
He was Stetson Bennett.
Right. Yeah. He was. Yeah. But see, no, because he was just my junior year. Then after that, we got Rusty Smith, and that's when we started throwing it a bit more. But
we're not gonna talk about that. We'll pass on. Shout out to Rusty, but we'll pass on that part of it. I still got some feelings about that.
Man, but that junior year, that 04 year, that was a magical year, man. We had some great teammates on that team. We played some great games, man. We didn't end the way we wanted to. We made it all the way to the third round, lost to Edgewater.
They cheated.
Yeah. It was a close game too.
They cheated. That 75-yard touchdown that you broke. Right. They called it back, Brent. First play of the game. This is how bad.
First play of the game.
And Brent, I'm gonna let you ask about this, but I'm gonna paint this.
I remember that.
Now look,
it was a toss. I remember that play. It was 28 toss.
Yep.
And he threw it, and the defensive end, he rushed up the field quick. So as soon as I caught it, I had to cut back. I cut back across the field. I'm not sure what I did, and took off. And I want to say it was a holding call or something that they called it back. But yeah, I remember that play. I remember
Reese, I remember it. I was sitting on the side on my crutches because I remember I threw my crutch down, and I was pissed because it's after I wrecked my knee.
Right.
This dude breaks, and the safety that was back there played wide receiver too, and he ended up going to Florida State. I can't remember his name. Brant. I've never seen nobody get put on skates like that before. It was ugly.
Yeah.
And the thing was, it was one-on-one in the hole. Everybody pretty much manned up. And soon as he hit the hole, the safety breaks down. Had a great breakdown. Maurice just kind of looked at him, stopped, scratched his head, turned on the dime, looked around at the crowd, waved at the crowd, and left. That's how it was. It was in slow motion. For me, it was in slow motion because I said, Reese getting ready to make this boy look stupid because I knew. And that touchdown got called back, and that changed the game because we would have been in the state championship our junior year.
Right.
And he had the most yards we saw you run for was against Terry Parker. You had over 400 yards in that game.
Oh yeah, no. Actually, no. I want to say Terry Parker was crazy. And the funny thing about Terry Parker, because guess who was on that team when we played Terry Parker?
Tim Hill.
No. Josh Evora was on that team. You probably don't remember that. He was playing. He wasn't even playing running back anymore. He was playing like corner or safety.
Yeah.
I got him about 3-4 times and on like 75-yard touchdown. It was me and him. It was and he was and I was gone. And it was about 4 times. I couldn't, but no, the most yards I ever had in a game was against Paxton. You probably don't remember that game.
I do. That was senior year. Junior year, I was talking about senior year because that was
my junior year. I want to say junior year, yeah, because we still have Mikhail was on the team. Remember Mikhail, the Russian dude.
Yeah, the guy who had favoritism that got my spot, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was politics involved in that. And yes, Mikhail, I said it. So if you're looking at it, I still stand on it, bro.
But I'm not sure why he sticks out to me in that game. But I remember just he was so hyped in that game, and he got me hyped. And I ended up going off that game. I wanted to have like 5 in the third quarter. But Terry Parker was a game.
I was on the other corner because Boone. I pretty much me and Boone was battling for that spot, and I got it from him at that time. Right. And all I remember was soon as you turned the corner. That's all I remember. I was just like, it's over. Brent, it's like, you know how you can look at a play and you just see it happening? It was over. But that I do remember that game. But
it was
Brent, what you got for
games there.
I got a couple of questions for you. So I know you had a storied career. Once you started playing, how natural did it feel to you, or I'm not discounting the fact that you had to put in hard work, but I'm just trying to get people to see how a lot of people just it just clicks with them, and they give it. And you're talking about being able to make the moves and have the speed. And
Right.
How did it all come together for you? Is what I'm trying to get at.
I'll tell you this, man. I was nervous before every game because like every game I would go off, and I was always wondering, like, because it kind of came out of nowhere. It was like sophomore year, spring jamboree, ball out. And I'm like, okay, dude, I never played like this before. Like this is I mean, like not in high school level. Like this is something different. Like little league I did great little league, but I'm in high school now, balling out. I'm like, okay, so I didn't play this freshman year. Okay, well how long is it gonna last? Sophomore year keeps going. I keep balling out. Junior keep balling out. Senior year keep balling out. And so for me, I was always wondering, okay, like, oh damn, like I always work hard. I even work hard when I wasn't playing, when I wasn't balling out. And so for me, I had this feeling like it was gonna end sometime. And I think that honestly forced me to work harder, forced me to always like make sure I wasn't losing a step, make sure I would go lift weights. Me and my buddy Rance, man, we had an hour lunch at Sandra. We had a big school, so they give us an hour lunch. I go eat my food real quick. We go to the gym. I'm squatting. Man, I got 315 on the rack. I'm doing 3 sets. I'm doing 5 sets of 5 during lunch. Because I'm paranoid. I'm like, I gotta keep it going. But I will say, I think that what really kind of helped me sort of get into a groove and maybe I guess I feel a bit more comfortable with the fact that, like we talked about earlier, I ran the ball so much. I did it so much that I got down to where, okay, when they called a play, I knew how I had to put my feet, and I knew how I had to step first because how the play was going to work out. Like I just knew, and so it almost felt like it was like poetry in motion, so to speak. Like my body already knew what it had to do because I did it. It was muscle memory. I did it so many times. I just knew my body just knew what it had to do, and every time, like I remember this one play we would run, called 16 power or something. I had to start down in like I'm going to shoot through the one gap, and then I get the ball, I get close to the line, I bounce it, and I would bounce right after my puller, which a lot of times Rance. He would be pulling for me, and it just worked like perfectly every single time. I knew I had, okay, on that play, I gotta start with my left foot going back, right foot going forward. I'm taking 3 steps by the time I get the ball. My right foot got to be coming forward so I can plant. Like it all like I just knew it. And sure enough, like clockwork, every time I ran that play, I get the ball, I plant here, I ran through across my face. I'm following him. He's getting the first guy for me. Bam, then it's one-on-one with the safety. That happened, and it happened like that so much. I almost expected it when we called that play. I almost expected that was how it was going to happen.
I can see exactly what you're saying. Yeah, backside guards pulling. I got you.
Yep. So I get that ball. I see him coming. He shoot across my face. I said, "There we go. He's my dude." And Rance, he was gonna take somebody out. Rance, he was probably about 250, probably about 6'1". He could run a little bit. He had a low. He was heavy. He was built, had a lower heavy lower body. He would get low on you, and he was first person he was hitting. He wasn't gonna get the second person, but that first person, he gonna knock him out. I already knew that. I was comfortable. I'm just waiting on him to take him out. As soon as Rance take him out, I can make my move. So, but
why do you think I was happy, Brent, that I was playing free safety, and I hated it when I had to be a strong safety, because at that point I had got some size on me, but I had to get stronger. And like he said, see, they worked out during lunchtime. Me, I was either early in the morning if guys would let me get in there, or I would do it after school, or I'd be running the stadium steps. Like, we had guys that would hang out some days during lunch, but at the same time, the guys who really wanted to play, we all found time to just get in some kind of work. It didn't matter. We were all working. And that was the reason why we were so tough to beat, because mentally we were tough and we scrimmaged every day. There was no such thing as low management.
He came in there. He was like, man, y'all go hit every day. He was fighting. Remember, I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if he was there yet when he fought. What was that dude's name? He played linebacker, and I want to say he played guard too. Tall white boy. Wow.
Matt Honorado.
Yes, remember Matt Honorado. Yes, remember he fought. Geis was a wild dude. I'm gonna tell you when I lost respect for Matt, and this is just honest. I don't know if you remember it, because me, Casanova, we were all in the huddle in that Ed White game in the Jamboree, and we were getting ready. He says,
Man, I'm sorry, it was in the regular season game. Man, we just came out here to play some wholesome football. These guys are just playing dirty. And you're the biggest one on this defense, and you acting like that. Man, get your.
That's what he said. He listen.
Bro.
He was big, but you're right. He was a little crybaby because that was what it was. The guys grabbed him and flipped him over, and you know he wanted no part.
He was a nice guy. Now off the field, he was a nice guy. But we were just like, dude, you too big to be soft like that.
Right.
Like the meat.
I knew his name was Matt. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, like Reese, just think about it, bro. When you talk about the times that you forged with us, and we're gonna get to your Ohio State days. When you look at the battles that we went through, the tough practices, the days where we would wait for about 30, 40 minutes before we left school, you know what I'm saying, after practice, because we were just that beat up.
Right.
How did that prepare you for Ohio State?
I'll say this, man. I remember when I came into Ohio State. Here's the thing about Sandalwood, which I tell people, and they're like, "Wow, this is how y'all did it." Like we had football class every day for 4 years. 6th period, it was a gym, but we was in there with our coach, and we was in the weight room. We lift weights. Sometimes we go out on the field, but and that was every day for 4 years. We had a gym. It was 6th period. Every football player had it. You got to go in and lift weights. So I remember coming into Ohio State, like I was strong. I was already repping 225, and it was dudes who was coming in who were bigger than me, who really couldn't, they couldn't move that weight like that. They really couldn't, they weren't built for that. They weren't built for those 2-a-days in the summertime, when you got to put them sweaty pads back on, your body already sore. They was ready to quit. I'm like, shoot, man, it's hot, but shit, I'm used to this. Like, shoot, I was sore too, but I already knew that I could push my body so far, and it took some of them other kids, I think, a little bit of time to get used to. That's why I was able to play right away as a freshman, and other kids who had talent, end up having a red shirt. But you're right. We grinded. Guys came in and take it for what it is. Some people liked him, some people didn't. But he changed the culture of the program like immediately. He came in and we went to the fucking 3rd round of the playoffs. Like, balled the fuck out. You know what I mean? And he put multiple kids in college. Like Sandalwood, like we wasn't like that since the 90s when what's that dude?
Coach Brooks, when Coach Brooks was playing at that time.
Playing, yeah, who was the running back name number 22?
Frankie
Franklin. Yep, Frankie Franklin. So it had been a long time since Ohio State, since Sandalwood had been good, and so for him to come in like first year and just take it over, and we was balling out, and we was on the map, and folks was they was checking for us now.
Brant, remember when I told you, I said the toughest thing for us was to get that respect. We had respect by the 5th game of the season.
Oh yeah,
that was when we got it.
Yep, folks was our Go ahead. You were saying something, Brant? I'm sorry.
No, I was agreeing with you.
No,
yeah,
go ahead, Brant.
I'm with you. Man, that's great that you all had that kind of program, and when you could transition going to college, because there's 2 things that, in my experience, when I went to college, you already mentioned the strength, but the speed. For me, I was a receiver. I was always pretty quick, but I lined up in the slot, and I had a 230-pound linebacker. I mean, I was like,
right.
He opened my eyes real quick.
And first you're probably thinking he better keep up with me, but then you're shit, this motherfucker can move too.
I was like, I'm gonna have to change my game. And he was a 3-year All-American. He spent a little time playing pro ball too,
nice.
And it was So I was like, these guys are way bigger than I am, and they're faster than I am. So
that's what shocked me. Like when I got to college, I'm like, I was fast, and I was still fast at Ohio State, but there were guys who were much bigger than I was, who were just as fast or just as close, something. And that's what really shocked me. Like, damn, this motherfucker is really 240. And he's moving like this. Like,
hey, bro, man. I know you feeling it, and we don't mind damn hell and ass. We gotta kind of.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. No, it's cool. You didn't know, and I that's on me. I didn't mention it at the beginning. That's on me, so I apologize, bro.
Oh yeah, well yeah, my bad. Hopefully, you don't got too many of
those. No. You can use certain curse words. We don't mind. It's just certain words we're still trying to get monetized or whatnot. So I was like, but it's okay.
Oh,
you
yeah,
look, you my brother,
my bad at all, man. Yeah,
you my brother, so it is what it is, bro.
Really know
But it's amazing how fast the big guys. When I say big guys, everybody can move. I mean, quick feet and agile, and it's eye opening. And talk about some of the guys that I know you played at the highest level that there was. So kind of talk about that. You know what you saw in your experience.
So yeah, I mean, so when I got to Ohio State, this would have been 2005, and so this was the quarterback at the time was Justin Zwick and Troy Smith. He was kind of trying to gear up, trying to take that starting spot. The linebackers were AJ Hawk, who played 10 plus years. He's an all-time tackle leader for the Green Bay Packers. I remember when I first saw him, I thought this dude was like a serial killer. Nicest guy in the world. I mean, but he just had like this. It was summertime. We've been out in the sun working out, but he was still pale. I'm like, how? Like, I don't get it. He had like this kind of like dead look in his eye, but he was a nice guy, super duper nice guy. But I mean, just off my first impression, I'm like, man, this guy's scary. I remember coming to watch him and like my visit, watching him in the Michigan game, just go out there and just demolish people. And I'm like, this guy is he's insane. He's a warrior. And so meeting him, I was just like, man, this guy is, he's legit. So AJ Hawk, he stands out as somebody who, I was just impressed with right away. Cause I saw him play. I knew what he could do. I saw him work. He was like, yeah, this guy's legit. And I'm not surprised he played as long as he did in the league. Bobby Carpenter's another one. He's, his dad played in the league for a little bit, for a long time, actually played for Parcells with the Giants. But Bobby was, he was another guy. He was like 6'4", 260, could move, good lateral movement. I mean, good body control, like strong as heck. Like
you can say hell, you good. You can say hell. It's just the F-bombs we can't drop. You can say whatever, and go ahead. You good.
Right. But I mean, he would, like I said, so he was just impressive. And then like somebody who just impressive, just all around athlete was obviously Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn was fast. Like as far as technical skill in the receiver position, that wasn't his game, but he had a certain feel for the game. So I would watch him do punt returns. I'd watch him do reverses and how he would stop on a dime and, cut back, across field, and just his vision and his speed. Like, and I ain't gonna put his business out there, but like, it was just it was amazing that he was able to just maintain that for so long. He's another guy played multiple leagues in multiple years in the NFL, which I was somewhat surprised he played as long as he did. But when you got that kind of speed, it's always gonna be a spot for you. And then last but not least, Malcolm Jenkins. He was
a pain in the Falcons side.
He was a pain in our butt.
Right.
When he was with the Eagles and when he was with them stinking bagheads.
Yep, man. So, but he's one of my favorite teammates. And we came in the same class. We weren't necessarily super close. Oddly enough, I was supposed to room with him freshman year, but I switched at the last second. To switch with some folks that I'd already met. But I kind of, looking back, I kind of wish I would have would have roomed with him, so I would have been able to connect more, to kind of learn more from him, because he's always been kind of a just a special dude, man. He's always, what you see what he's doing now, I'm not shocked at all. He's kind of like you, Ryan. He beats by his own drum. Like he wasn't, he do his own thing. He was his own guy, very intelligent, worked hard, always been a great leader. I mean, I remember this is freshman year. We're running, we're doing in winter workouts. He's no starter yet. He's ain't really nobody, but yeah, he's talking like he is, and it rubbed some people the wrong way, but he backed it up. So he ended up, earning the right to do that. So he's another guy who, just have a ton of respect for. Just a guy who did it the right way, and a guy that I'm honored to say that I played football with. I mean, there's a ton of guys too. I'm sure I'm missing so many more. I played with so many great players, but those are the ones that kind of stick out off the top of my head.
Shout out to the Dixon Way Raid real quick, man. You go ahead and get your question, but we got to shout them out. They came over from Larry's podcast to come over to show some love. Those are our other country cousins and whatnot. If you want to check out all Georgia sports, from the Falcons, the Hawks, the Braves, then you got the Dogs, and then his wife's stinking Florida Gators. Y'all check them out, man. Larry the Dixon Way. Please show my boy some love and the crew over there. Thank y'all for coming through, man. Trey, we see you. Water Boys, what's going on? Appreciate you coming through as well. Brent, take over, man. Had to make sure I get the plugs in.
I got you. I know you and Ryan have a lot of catching up to do, so this will be. I want to ask one question.
Oh, listen, go ahead. Many questions. It's conversational. We're gonna be. We'll all communicate.
So I coached a little bit, so I want you to talk about the different levels of coaching that you had. I know you talked about guys at Sandalwood, and then talk about what you experienced at Ohio State from your position coach, coordinator, head coach, and so on. Kind of talk about that, how you had to adapt to that, because that's a major change for a lot of people.
Right. And I'll tell you what, I think I was lucky in a sense that I got to play for a coach like Coach Tressel, because he was a stark contrast to what I was coming from in high school. So, Coach Geis, who our coach, he graduated from Duke, played college ball at Duke, but he was young when he came and took over that team. He was in his 20s maybe. I remember we'd go to football clinics or whatever. We ride together. We'd hang out. He was like kind of one of the guys. He was a player's coach, so to speak. Knew the game of football, was a great coach in that regard. He worked us out hard, but he wasn't necessarily like a building up our character. He cared about football. Yep. Play football. Let's do it. Let's win some games. Let's play some football. I'll coach you up. But all that other stuff, that wasn't his thing, and that's all right. I mean, I don't cast any aspersions against him for that. But Coach Tressel was completely different. He was a coach who took a more holistic approach. He really didn't recruit guys that he didn't think had a certain character. He would, even no matter how good the talent was, he wasn't going to bring them in. So I played with a lot of guys who were, good character guys who, tried to do the right thing, cared about football. So he was great in that respect. As far as X's and O's, that is something I wish he would have been he was a bit antiquated in that regard. And I think that's kind of why he resulted in his demise. We ran a lot of just, his favorite word, he said his favorite play, the most important play in football was the punt. That was his motto. He wanted to punt, play good defense, score. I mean, he knew we could score, but he wasn't trying to run the score. As a matter of fact, I remember the Washington game. We were beating them by a couple of touchdowns. He put like the third string running back in the game. He ends up scoring a touchdown, and he's apologizing to the other coach, like, "Yeah, man, I'm sorry." I mean, I get it, but like that, you don't want to embarrass somebody, but still, like the kid wants to play. He's out there. He's not just going to just like not play. So yeah, I think he was just a little different approach than I would have liked, and the reason being is because I wanted us to be a more high-flying offense. I wanted us to spread it out more. I wanted us to run more plays. So a guy like me, who was a fringe type player, who wasn't necessarily going to start and get the ball 20 times a game, but I needed us to run a lot of plays so I get my 10 to 12. A lot of times if we're running and playing defense and we're running, 65 or 60 plays on offense, 40 of them are 10-yard passes. It gets tough to get some runs for me. And it gets tough to win games because you're not scoring enough points, so that's kind of why he I think he sort of saw the writing on the wall. He had to move on the game and just surpassed him. But my position coach was his brother, his older brother, guy by the name of Dick Trussell, a great guy, man. He looking back, he was much more of a mentor to me than I realized then. To me, I kind of looked at him like, I don't want to say this, I love Doc so much, but like a nepotism hire. Like, he didn't play running back. He played DB. Like, he really didn't. Yeah. He really couldn't coach us a whole lot. A lot of stuff he would tell us, I would think to myself, like, I don't know if I would do it that way. Like, I remember he would pass pro, perfect example. So we were doing pass pro as a running back. I'm 196 pounds, 198 pounds. I'm having to block 250-pound linebacker with a 7-yard head start. Oh yeah. He's telling us to get low and just like, and absorb the contact. I'm thinking to myself, like, he's got me by 50 pounds with a running start. Just the laws of physics tell you that that's not what you need to do. And so what I did instead, I said, no. I'm meeting him head on. I gotta get the first pop. I can't let him come and get me. I gotta go get him. And sure enough, that will work. Cam Hayward, that's another guy I played with. I remember in practice one day, we're running a play. It's like a short pass play. The line slides down. It's a 3-step drop or something. Quarterback get the ball out quick. I'm guarding his backside. I'm coming up, and it's me and Cam Hayward. That if I would listen to Doc, I'm sitting there. Cam Hayward runs me over, probably makes a tackle on the quarterback, whatever. No, not me. I saw Cam hit a slide. The lines. I'm in the backfield. The line slides down. There's me and Cam 1-on-1. Nobody's touched him. It's just me and him. I see him running towards me. I said, okay, well, I got to go meet him. I got up on him so fast, he didn't expect it. I got up under him, popped. I stood his ass. I stood him up.
You can say ass. You good. It's just the F-bombs we can't do. Right. You can say that all day. You good, bro.
I stood him up like he's 300 pounds. You know what I'm saying? He got me by 100 pounds. And Cam was a strong dude. And so that's
Airhead Hayward, son. What you expect?
Right. Yeah. And so that let me know, like, no, like, okay, I got to sometimes, like, he's a great guy, but he may not really know what to do in it comes to coaching this position. You're going to have to kind of, learn on your own and kind of see what you think is best. Take what you can from him, but, kind of think outside the box. One of the coaches that I really enjoyed, who was never my coach, but he had a certain energy, certain attitude that I just, that resonated with me, was Coach Fickle. He coached our linebackers. They were always the hardest working group. Every practice, every day, they worked the hardest. And everyone knew it. Everyone knew that Coach Fickle and those linebackers, they were going to work. And they were going to be strong. They were going to be fast. They were going to be disciplined because he was going to work them. He was going to make sure of it. He was an intense dude. He was a no-nonsense kind of dude. He was the type of coach every single year. Because you practice, the year kind of goes in twos. You got fall coming up, and then you got spring at the end of the year. And so when the pads come on, you always do hitting drills. So twice a year when we put the pads on, we do in Oklahoma, doing our hitting drills. Every single time, without fail, he's fighting an offensive player. He's a defensive coach.
Oh yeah.
Tempers are gonna flare. He's grabbing some offensive players' face masks and they're getting into it. Like he has nothing on. He's got just a windbreaker and some jogging shorts on. But he's a small guy back by this time, and he's no longer his big D lineman himself. He works out, runs like a ton, but he's feisty. And
people forget that he can also be a wrestler too.
Like,
right. You don't know his background.
Oh, no. He's from Columbus. He's from Columbus. So I know him very well now. Yeah, he was and like I said, he was one of my favorite coaches. He was a no-nonsense dude, and he got our linebackers right. The reason I liked him so much because I saw what his method worked, and I was judging it versus what I was getting, and I'm just like, Doc, I wish you had some of that. I wish you had some of that for us because although we were good and running back is sort of a natural position. Most guys who are going to come there, you got to just tell them to play, give them the ball, and let them run. But I wish we worked us a bit more.
I want to ask you this, Maurice. So when you look back at it, you got you're a 2-time Big Ten champion. You got
four times.
I'm sorry, 4 times. Excuse me, 4 times.
I got 4 rings. He said it like 3 times. I'm gonna have to correct him now. I'm joking.
See, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time the historian's been corrected like this by one of my guests. But you know what? He can do this because guess what? We used to thump back in the day. This is my brother. This happens. But I apologize.
You always on point with your stuff. You know way more than I'll ever know.
4-time Big Ten champ. You got to get 2. You got to go to 2 national championships. I know the outcomes weren't what you wanted, but for you to get to 2 of those, there are guys who can't even get to 1. Yeah. What was the journey like getting to the national championship and just having that idea of getting to that point?
Right. That's the big reason why I went to Ohio State. So you got to remember at the time. So look at the backdrop. Okay, so it's 2004. They just won a championship in 2002. I'm at home in Jacksonville rooting for Miami. They got that call on Jenkins or Gamble. And they got and so all right. Well, I'm pissed. I'm like, okay, having no idea I'm getting ready to go to Ohio State. Fast forward a few years later, I get the offer, and I'm thinking like, okay, so Red's gone, right? This is the team that competes for the national championship damn near every year.
Mm-hmm.
this is a place I want. If I'm gonna do it, I gotta do it big. I could play it safe, go to like a Georgia Tech or go to a school where it's a more of a concrete or more of a definite kind of playing time. But at the time, I'm thinking, listen, I'm one of the top running backs in the country. At one point, I was the number one running back in the country.
Yep.
They got a returning sophomore who ain't played. They got another returning. They got another redshirt freshman who ain't played either. I could come in. They recruit me, and I got a guy by the name of Jason Gwaltney. Jason Gwaltney, he was a big back too. He was like 230. I played with him in the Army All-American game. He's decommits for some reason. I don't know. So now it's just me. I'm like, okay, well, I can really like come here and play right away. And potentially start as a freshman and bounce. Like, perfect. I'm gonna take a chance. I'm gonna do it. And so that's why I went to Ohio State, was to be able to make it to the national championship. So, my freshman year, we start the season off. Who was that? Oh yeah. So no, that was the year that we played Texas, I think.
Yep, they came to y'all house that year.
They came to our house with Vince Young. Yep, and they came to us, and that was a big game. That was a big game. I remember too. Like I remember Doc coming over me like every time offense was going out. He's like, all right, get ready, get you in. I ain't get in the game. I was so pissed. I'm like, because he kept telling me like, get ready, get you in, and he didn't get me in. But nonetheless, we ended up losing that game. But we have a great season and then make it into the Fiesta Bowl. I mean, Santonio Holmes was on that team. I think Troy Smith stepped into his own that year, really took over that starting spot. Like I said, AJ Hawk, Bobby Carpenter, Anthony Slagle, our linebackers were killing it. Nate Sally's at safety. And we just had just a great team. Nick Mango was our center. He played 15 years for the Jets. I mean,
yep,
he'll be a Hall of Famer if he's not already. Like, we have some great guys on that team. And so the next year, a lot of those guys are coming back. Troy's coming back. Ted's coming back. Bobby's, those guys are gone, but we got some linebackers stepping up. James Laurinaitis, he's in my class. He steps over. He steps up, takes up that spot. Malcolm Jenkins steps up. So like we're thinking, okay, hey, this is, we got a chance to really make it to the national championship. So for me, I'm like, hey, it's a real opportunity. But this time, by this point, beanies come in. And I never forget when I was in high school, because guys wanted me to go to Georgia Tech. Dad was here.
Letty Geis.
Yeah, he wanted me to go to Georgia Tech, and I remember when we were talking about it, and I finally told him, because I was waiting. I didn't want to tell him. I had already knew I was going to Ohio State. I came up on my visit. It was crazy. I mean, Atlanta was crazy. It was dope, but I just felt like these boys are Ohio State, just living a little bit different life. Like it's a little bit different. I'm gonna tell you, it's more money at this school. Ohio State got a big alumni base. It's just more money, and I could see it. I could feel it. I'm like, no, it's more money here. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Ohio State, but I didn't want to tell Geis for a long time. And so when I finally told him, he's like, all right, man, listen, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. You're gonna go to Ohio State. First of all, you're not from Ohio. They're gonna get some big 250-pound running back from Ohio that runs a 4.3, and you're never gonna see the field. I said, yeah, right, man. I'm number one running back. And me and guys kind of fell out because of that. But sure enough, sophomore year, here comes Beanie Wells. I remember when he committed too. I'm like, dang, all right. Well, I'm thinking, okay, I'm here already. I've been here. I'm in the system. Like, we can listen, Reggie Bush, Lindo White, we can do it. Like, we can, as long as we run into the right type of offense, get these plays, we can both thrive. But it just didn't come to fruition. I played a little bit. I played my little share, but not as much as I would have liked to, obviously.
I'm gonna say it. You don't have to say it because I know you humble. See, I'm not an Ohio State fan, so they can't mess with me. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna tell you like it T.I. is. Y'all didn't use my boy right. Let's keep it a buck. He won't say it, but you got a bulldog here that's saying it.
Oh yeah, listen,
use him right.
Well, listen, you gotta think the off because so think about this. Okay, so Beanie comes in right.
Mm-hmm.
On our freshman year, we're kind of trying to figure out what kind of offense we're gonna be.
Yep.
Ted and Troy are probably our two best offensive players, so we cater the offense around them. It's a lot of sweeps, a lot of draws, a lot of quick passes, a lot of deep routes for Ted. That was freshman year. Running game, we didn't run the ball that much that game. Pitt, matter of fact, who was a starting running back, who me and him were splitting time. I was coming in the third series of the game. He would always start, but I get in the third series. We were kind of neck and neck. He didn't score his first touchdown to like the Minnesota game. It was like them like the 8th, 9th, 10th game. Like we didn't run the ball that much, and so that wasn't our identity. The next year, we get Beanie there, and so Pitt's taking a step up. I'm taking a step up. So now it's more of a and we got a ton of running backs in too. So now we have more of a running identity. And so Tress goes back to his old
Youngstown State games.
It's that 46 power up the middle. That type of running scheme, which it's great in the Big Ten. It slows the game down. You can run as many plays. It's predicated on special teams and defense, not a lot of high scoring offensive plays. And that's how the offense was catered to. So when Beanie needed a break or he got hurt, they weren't switching up the offense. He wasn't that imaginative. He was going to keep doing what he was. We would practice so many new play. I remember it so vividly. We would practice like new stuff for me, like it would work in practice. It would go. It'd be great. We'd get to the game and it's the same 4 or 5 plays. I'm just like, oh my God. And we'd win 17-13, 21-10. Like that. Those were the scores of our game. Like it was just a low scoring game. It wasn't catered to me and to my playing style. So, I would have loved to have been at Ohio State when a guy like Urban Meyer was there. They were running 75, 80 plays a game, rolling guys through. Fourth quarter, I don't give a damn. We still throwing it, we still running it, we still coming out with our ones. Like he was letting his guys run it up. And Tress was doing that.
And I think that was because we're gonna transition to your legal career, and then after I put this out here, I think that was the reason what hurt y'all in those national championship games when you came up against those SEC schools. Because the one thing that you got to be able to do against the SEC is run the football. Ohio State has changed.
They're going to score some points.
Ohio State has changed the trajectory of what they're doing now because let's be real. Shout out to my Ohio State fans that are looking on X. We got Kerry, my man Shy, my man Clee. We all talked about this, and now they get to talk a little trash because they got the trophy now. But they was a whipping post for a while because y'all didn't run that ball. When y'all figured out, okay, we got to run the ball to win the game, because the one thing you guys always have had, going back to the days of Paul Warfield, Hall of Fame wide receiver, Chris Carter, Hall of Fame wide receiver, Santonio Holmes, possibly to be a Hall of Famer, David Boston. Ohio State is a wide receiver school. That is just what it is. It is a wide receiver.
We had some pretty good back. We had some pretty good back super drive.
Y'all had some good backs.
They've had talent across the board for a while, and honestly, that's what gets Ohio State through, especially in the Big Ten, because you're getting all the talent. You can run this simplified, But
just think about it. If you had a coach like Woody Hayes back in the day, who was running the ball with Pete Johnson back in the day, who was running the ball with a Mr. John Brockton, and so many of these Ohio State running backs that have gone to the league, then you get Eddie George to come in here and take it to another level. I mean, quiet as it's kept, it's nothing but great football players. I talk trash about y'all or whatnot, of course, because I'm an SEC guy. But I respect ball players, and when you look at the type of ball players that were coming out, there were high pedigree ball players that are coming out, just like right now. You got Jeremiah Smith, who's going to be a number 1 draft pick. That's no question.
Yeah.
And when you look at Ohio State, you guys, now that the NIL is out here now, you guys were able to, all right, let's open up this pocketbook. Let's show these people that we can spend some money too.
That money I was telling you about when I took my visit up here, that money. And that's why, like a team like Alabama, look at where they're at now. That's why Nick Saban had to leave. In Tuscaloosa, I'm not sure. I mean, listen, my family's from Alabama, so I'm not talking bad about them folks. That's my mom's favorite team. So, but like they don't have the alumni base. They don't have the industry there to support NIL in a way that they can here in Columbus, Ohio. There is no pro team here. This is Columbus, Ohio is a large city. This is the second largest city in the Midwest, 12th in the country, and it's growing. There's a lot of money here. It's a lot more people here than people giving credit for it, and all they have is Ohio State. So I mean, it's schools like Ohio State, Texas. Let me think about some other schools that have a
Georgia's
big
in that now.
Yeah, Georgia's in that.
Money they got. They've been having
money. Them as well. These schools that have huge alumni bases that have donors with a lot of money. Those are the teams who you're seeing who are staying at the top. Like, I mean, it's the Ohio State players. I mean, like, so I see the car they drive. I don't live too far from campus.
Mm-hmm.
They are living very, very well. They're living very well.
And so transitioning or whatnot, when we're talking about the money side of the house. See, StreamYard is StreamYarding right now, so I'm gonna have to pop in, but I'm gonna ask my question real quick. when you go back to transitioning, things didn't work out for you like you'd have hoped. When it comes to the NFL level or whatnot, they didn't, I think they should have given you a better opportunity, but you transitioned to the legal system. What got you into the legal system, and what is the fulfillment that you get out of the legal system now being a lawyer, and what was the journey like going through school?
Coming out of college, I think probably by my junior year, going into my senior year, I kind of knew like, hey, it's a chance that it's a huge chance that you're not going to have some storied, career in the NFL. That's probably not going to happen. Maybe you get on somewhere, get lucky, and you can stick on for a couple of years, maybe make a good living. We'll see. And that was kind of like, okay, if I can at least do that, that's what I'll do. So that was my goal after senior year. I go through the draft. I do pro day. Tampa Bay calls me. They say, hey, if you don't get drafted, we're gonna bring you in as a free agent. Jacksonville calls me as well. Matter of fact, the guy who worked us out was a Jacksonville running back coach. Can't remember his name, but he was a running back coach at the time. He called me before the draft. Said the same thing. Hey, you don't get drafted, we're gonna bring you in, free agent contract. So I'm watching the draft. Day 3 goes by. I'm thinking, I'm hoping like maybe I get drafted, in the 7th round. I think I did my little grade or whatever, and they said, hey, they said like 5th to 7th or 5th to free agent, something like that. So I knew it was gonna be late, and I was hoping maybe 7th I could get. I thought that could potentially be a possibility. Didn't happen, and so I'm devastated. I'm trying to think, okay, what I'm gonna do, and so now I'm just calling. Now I'm almost in kind of like panic mode. My buddy, who's my best friend at Ohio State. He's still there. He redshirted. His high school, he's from Buffalo. His high school coach got some connects with the Buffalo Bills, and so I had an agent at the time, but he wasn't hooking me up with anything. I mean, he got me some workouts. He was new. He didn't know what he was doing, and so that was he wasn't doing much. So I'm doing this kind of on my own, and so I ended up getting a tryout for the Buffalo Bills. So I'm there for rookie mini camp. I had a great camp. I mean, I'm reading articles. They said I look polished. It looked the most polished there. I looked like the best one out of the running back group. And so at the end of the camp, I'm hoping I'm gonna get my name called. It doesn't happen. I go back home, back to the drawing board. I think I do some UFL and Canadian League workouts, and I thought about going to do like semi-pro, one of them places. I was just like, I had a daughter at the time, like my oldest daughter, who's getting ready to go to college now, actually next year. She was already born, and she was probably 1 or 2 at the time. And I need to be working. So I started working in sales, and still kind of thinking about football, and it just kind of fell to the wayside. It just became too much of something to kind of keep chasing. And so I had to just, I had to sort of reinvent myself, figure out who I was. And I worked sales because that was just a job that I got. And, it was a great schedule, allowed me to kind of do what I needed to do with my daughter for our pickup and all that good stuff. Because I made my own schedule. So I didn't have to work by anybody's clock. And it paid me good money. Like I was making good money. Matter of fact, I was making my first job out of law school. I was making less money than I was making there. I was thinking, man, this ain't something ain't adding up. So I was doing that for a number of years, and my mom's an attorney as well. She went to law school. She graduated law school the same year that I graduated high school. So for me, I saw like how hard she had to work to do that, and she had kind of been in my ear as college was football wasn't coming to fruition, and she's like, hey, I think you should be an attorney. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's too much work. Like, no, I'm not trying to do that at all. I've been working my whole life. I want to take it easy, which is not the right idea, but that's where I was at the time. But eventually we had this saying at Ohio State. It was, we used to say it before every game. It was, I am only one, but I am one. I can't do everything, but I can do something. And what I can do, I ought to do. And what I ought to do, by the grace of God, I shall do. And that always stuck with me. What it means to me is that, you have to you can't hold back your gifts. You have to do what you can do in this world. You have to put your best foot forward. You have to sort of reach. You can't take the easy route, so to speak. I can't just take it easy. I gotta, do what I'm capable of doing. I have an obligation to do that. And so I was like, listen, I'm gonna do it. I went ahead, and one day I was sitting at home. Like it's like 2:00. My kid was still at school. Like I didn't have like nothing to do. Like I think I worked out. I'm like this isn't life. I need something to do. And so I just said, screw it. I'm gonna go sign up to take the LSAT, which is the test you have to take to get into law school. And then the rest is history. And so ended up going back to law school. And I'm glad for my experience playing football. I'm glad for my experience after football, just with regular life, but it really helped me in law school. I came with just a different approach, than some of my constituents during that time period. They were stressed out over things, and I'm just like, hey man, this is a piece of cake. This is you got
nobody's gonna hit me.
Right. Well, not even that. It's like they're worried about it, like they're studying for a test. I'm like, because I was still working at the time. I'm going to school full time and I'm working, and I got kids. I got a mortgage. I had already bought my house. Like I got this is like real life business. Like
you had grown man responsibilities.
And so
I understand, bro.
It's like, okay, like y'all worried about a test. Like, no, study for the test. Like, okay, yeah, you can't go drink on Thursday. Boo hoo. But it was because most of those kids were coming right out of undergrad, and I was 5 years out of undergrad, so I was just a different stage in my life. And so, but it helped me, prepare me. I went to law school, did well in law school, and and it's now I'm practicing as an attorney. This is my 7th year in practice, I'm happy I made the decision. I'm happy I made the transition. It was like most things in life. It wasn't like a straight linear path. There was a lot of turns and pivots and redirections, and it's like, I'm sure a lot of players who, once you get done playing ball and that's kind of all that was your identity, and then it's stripped away so quickly and so unexpectedly, it's tough to sort of find your footing. And some guys don't find their footing. And for me, it was getting slippery for a while. I was kind of meandering. I didn't quite know how I was going to come out on the other side. But thankfully I did. And, I'm happy I landed on my feet and was able to make it to where I'm at today. But football seems like a second lifetime ago. Now I tell people all the time now, because I hardly ever talk about it. I mean, it just seems like a lifetime ago. But looking at these pictures and all of that stuff, it brings back good memories for sure. Because like I said, my life is just so far removed. I mean, I watch Ohio State. I watch all the games. I still watch the NFL. Although for a long time I had to stop. Like right after college, I didn't watch football for a couple of years. I just had to get a break. I couldn't, and I just didn't want to see it. And so it took a few years to kind of come back to it. But now, I'm just a fan now. I watch all the time, and it's and sometimes, like I said, people like you or somebody else, they're big Buckeye fans. They may hear my name or they may recognize me or whatever, and they'll it's always feel good to have somebody say, hey, I remember when you played, and blah blah blah. But that's few and far between, and that's just seemed like a lifetime ago. That's who I was.
Well, God doesn't make mistakes. You're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Oh, so, I believe that 100%. I believe that 100%.
That's something to be proud of. So Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that.
Married, father of 3, lawyer.
Absolutely.
And bro, I look at it like this, man. Coming through the school that we came through, and knowing some of the cats that we grew up with and came up around, as you said before, you really had to walk by the beat of your own drum and really think and not make certain mistakes. You're going to make mistakes as a young kid coming up. But when you talk about how you were able to navigate your path, and then you also had some help or whatnot, all I can say is, bro, one of the best things that happened was, even after all these years, we still reach out. And I'm not saying everybody on the squad, but it's some of us that still keep in touch with each other. And we still have those bonds and those friendships. And you got them with your Ohio State buddies. I got them with my former military buddies too. But soon as I graduated college, he was the first person to reach out to me and hit me up. When he saw the pic, he hit me up. He DM'd me. He said, it's about time you finally got to the club.
That's awesome. Yep.
So I told him, I said I had to take a little bit of time and enjoy life a little bit before I finish. But it's
right.
It's enjoyable because I told you I even considered going to law school at one point. I'm still thinking about it.
Hey, it ain't too late. Sure, it ain't too late. You can get done.
Hey,
you got a program now. You can get it done about 2.5 years now.
Yeah, that's why I said the political science degree works. It's in international relations, so I'm just kind of trying to see how things work out. But man, it's been a pleasure having you on, bro. Definitely love you. I'm going to be coming back to Ohio eventually.
Let me know. Sure, I ain't going nowhere no time soon, so I'm right here in the city.
I'll be going to look. I'm gonna probably end up going back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but I got to catch a game in Columbus with you.
Oh, absolutely, man. Let's make it happen for sure. Let me know. I can get tickets any game.
I'm fine with the cold. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm fine with the cold weather. I was stationed in New Hampshire first.
Okay.
I was living in Alaska. I live in Philly. So
honestly, listen. Most of the games, especially early in the season, they ain't gonna be cold at all. So a lot of games are during the day too, so you ain't got to worry about that. So it's a beautiful experience. I could probably get us some sideline passes too. So. Just let me know,
man. And here's the other thing: if you got any of your buddies that's not playing no more, that don't mind chopping it up with us, we definitely would love to have them here, talk about their journeys and different experiences too, bro.
Absolutely, man. I definitely put it out there. I'll circle back with some folks, and everybody busy and all that good stuff. But nonetheless, for sure, if I find I got a couple folks in mind that would love to do it, so I'll circle back to them as well. But for sure, man, absolutely, man. You guys got a great podcast, man. You guys are doing your thing. It was nice to meet you, Brent, man. And like I said, so good to see you as well, Ryan.
Nice meeting you, man. I appreciate it. I'd like to connect with you again, So
absolutely, I said I gotta get down to Atlanta, man, for your party. Sound like
yeah. And he's intended. See, Brent. I ain't gonna throw it. Was that Brent's a Tennessee?
Oh no, y'all took us behind the woodshed last year.
Yeah. Listen, y'all try to come up here. And represent and have some. Hey, listen, you guys had these Ohio folks. They was nervous. Oh my God, there's so many. Never seen the stadium looks orange. I've never seen so many volunteer fans. Now I was a bit nervous coming in, but yeah, they dominated from the start to finish.
I got to do it.
I didn't know how it was gonna turn out, especially after that Michigan game. I didn't know how that game was gonna go.
I'm glad we didn't play y'all, but I still get to hold on to the fact that we got y'all in 2022.
Right.
Before we got that back-to-back, baby.
Y'all had a team that year though. How many folks got drafted that year? I want to say it was something ridiculous.
Bro, so 2021.
Right. Y'all had a squad that year, man. That was unfair.
Listen, that Philadelphia Eagles defense,
right? It's the Georgia team.
Drafted. That is a Georgia defense,
right? Exactly.
Minus the two corners and your linebackers, a few linebackers. But
y'all. Listen. Going into that game, I was just hoping we could keep it close. Really? And then I saw we had a chance at the end. I'm like, I gained so much respect for C.J. Stroud during that game. I always loved him, but he
Reese, think about this.
Out that game.
I'm gonna give you this here because we go chop it up a little later. Be on the lookout for that linebacking core. The same way that you saw how those boys was playing in that game, all these young pups that we ended up getting that's playing now, they play exactly like that. They just got to get more experience. They just as nasty, Reese.
Listen, Georgia's gonna be good for a while, so
y'all gonna be good too. So we gotta try to come take the crown from y'all now that y'all.
We got it back. Yep. But it's gonna come back around. That's how it always go.
Tell the family I said hello, and man, I appreciate you coming through.
Absolutely, man. So good to see you, man. Nice to meet you, Brent. I'll take care.
All right, buddy. So we passing on from my boy Maurice Wells or whatnot. We definitely appreciate him coming through. But last but not least, we got to come to these Falcon topics real quick. We're not going to stay on them too long because guess what? We'll probably end up doing a show for them a little later. So, as we said before, the Falcons now have just signed a German kicker. His name is Lenny Craig. Lenny Craig literally just signed. Just to give you a little bit about him, he was a soccer player before he became a kicker. He's self-taught, so he didn't come up in any systems or whatnot. And he participated in the NFL Combine with the International Player Weight Scheme. That was how he was found. So during the Combine, he hit 14 field goal attempts, all 14, by matter of fact, hit one from 25 yards out, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and 55 yards. And each were from each hash. So he hit every kick without missing. But let's be honest, it's really different when you hit a kick and you have to have a defense on you, coming to blitz and block, and also coming to take your head off. So when you look at it, the Falcons have already made a move in that direction. We're definitely trying to see if any of our other guys, they might want to tap in or whatnot. We got y'all covered. Some of the Birdcage members are supposed to be tapping in, or hopefully maybe they might have crashed and went to sleep. But we're going to talk a little bit about it. Brent, how do you feel about this for Younghoe Koo and his future with the Falcons at this point now that they've signed?
Well, I'd like to have some of that money back. Just to be real.
Well,
I mean, at this point in time, I think you have to make business decisions because we have other holes that we need to fill. I know he wasn't completely healthy, but he's, hey, let's give somebody a shot.
Man, and that's the whole thing that you sit back and you think about, and you just say, wow, this guy's doing this, but they're doing it and he's also doing it in a cheap way as well. So when you sit back and look at it, it's like, all right, how is this going to work with this new regime? Now that you're switching out the kicker, now you're pretty much saying that, hey, you're getting ready to get Koo some competition. And the thing is, are you going to keep him here, or are you going to go ahead and let him walk?
Well, I mean, one of those things, and I'm not discounting anything anybody does, but a lot of times when you see kickers start having leg problems, it's kind of like a pitcher with arm problems. They usually keep coming back, and they're not going to go away. So, let's see what happens.
So how do you feel? And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to keep you too long, but how do you feel about Coach Prime right now and Asante Samuel arguing about these techniques that are being used right now? I gotta ask the question. Because it's different, man. It's different when you look at both guys were good corners, but again, Deion had half the field shut down and they didn't try. That's the
right.
difference.
Deion also, and I'm not taking anything away from Deion.
Oh, he didn't tackle.
Yeah, but he played in a different era than Asante Samuel did too.
Mm-hmm.
Deion still played. I mean, he saw some run and shoot stuff, but most of the time people were still running pro sets, and it wasn't like it is now. So I don't know. It's they're both great. But you know what? If you really look at it, that's what made them both so great. It's that competitive drive that's in both of them, and they're both alpha males, and it's never going to go away. You're an alpha. It's never going to stop.
And Asante is not a big, and this is what people don't realize. Asante's not a big dude. I'm bigger than Asante Samuel, but the one thing about him was he wasn't scared to come up and hit you, and he definitely could cover. And you look at it, look, Prime has 8 Pro Bowls, Asante has 2. I understand that, folks, because I've had this argument with so many different people. And then you go ahead and look at it like this. We got Graybeard popping in real quick for a sec. So then you go ahead and look at it like this. Prime did kick returns, punt returns as well, and played receiver. So he was an all-around guy. But as a straight corner, like, look, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to say this here. Stop thinking he was the only shutdown corner. He's not the first. Let me school you on a little something. When you have a rule change after you, Mel Blount had a rule change because of how good he was. That should tell you something. It's called the Mel Blount rule for a reason. Mel Blount was one of the greatest corners to ever play. Go back to Willie Wood, who was a shutdown. Go back to the person who brought bump and run coverage to the NFL that Prime made a living off of, Mr. Willie Brown. God rest his soul, Hall of Fame Raider. But the best cover corner came out of the Southern University. Let's put that out there. Most folks don't ever want to talk about that, and they always want to discredit and say, oh, they played against plumbers and all this. No. Deion was the Muhammad Ali of the NFL. He could talk it and he could back it up.
Yeah.
That was what the attraction was. But let's be honest. There are many corners that did what he did. Prime didn't even have 14 picks in the season. You all right over there?
Yeah.
But let's be frank, fellas. And I'm not taking away from Prime. I think he's one of the greatest to ever do it. Yeah. But I feel like there are many other corners who are great, and they just it's different tiers of it. It's different tiers of it. How do y'all feel? How do you feel about it, Gray?
I mean, I really didn't. I wasn't trying to buy into it because they all were all great, but I do agree. Deion played in a different era. Yeah. I mean, that beat for itself. You know, Conte Cameron put up the same amount of number as Deion did, but I think Deion was just a freakish athlete. He was just a freak of nature in his era. Nobody could compare to Deion athleticism unless you talk about like a Bo Jackson.
People don't realize how big Deion Sanders is. Deion Sanders.
But it's another guy that don't get talked about. You just mentioned Bo. You're wearing an Atlanta Braves hat. A man by the name of Brian Jordan is a guy that always gets left out. Always.
Brian Jordan. But yeah, I was just saying, this is all about ego. You know how it is, fellas, when you get older. The ego always kicking in. Man, Conte Cameron is pretty much a Hall of Famer. He's getting into the Hall.
Call.
Exactly. He's just waiting on his call. But you know, I didn't really pay too much attention to it, man. I said, man, it just seemed like in 2025 we're in the era of beef and ego.
I was disappointed in Uncle Shay for perpetuating this and you involving yourself. I get that you're gonna stand up for your guy. Prime is your boy. I understand that. You're supposed to defend your friend. That's what real friends do. But you can't discredit that man. That man locked up many good receivers from Megatron to Julio Jones to your boy Chad Ocho, who's on the show with you. And you have so many of these guys that have all said Asante Samuel was a technician, and not just a technician, he was a thief.
Didn't he play for us?
He played for us at one point.
They nicknamed him Dabadoo.
And then and remember this, he was part of D Block. And remember, he also played for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Uh-huh.
He won 2 rings with the Patriots. Every team that he went to, he was in the playoffs. That man wasn't getting toasted like that, like people think. Don't get it twisted. Asante is one of them guys.
That's when we had the safety patrol back then. Oh, the good old.
He was on one corner, and you had Thomas Deku, and you had Willie Moe in the back.
And you had the dude from South Carolina who used to knock people's head off.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
But here's my thing, you can't sit there and discredit it because let's be honest.
You can't.
We can sit back and say that about you to a certain extent because again, one of my guests who came on here, Clarence K, kept you on the bench. The only reason you got off the bench was because he got hurt and he ended up getting busted for some off the field things that messed up his career. I'm not gonna get into all of that, but that was how you got your opportunity. Dan Reeves was gonna cut you, man. There would have been no Uncle Shay if Clarence K doesn't get hurt or Orson Mobley doesn't get banged up because you were too slow to be a receiver and you were literally a guy that was a tweener. Now, you fit in the Shanahan system perfectly. They knew how to use you, and that was what got you to the Hall of Fame. You were talented, but and you're a Hall of Fame. You're one of the greatest to ever do it. But don't act like if you want to sit there and talk about differences of tight ends or whatnot, you were a difference of a tight end coming into the league. So Asante was a different type of corner coming into the league. You can't discredit greatness. Period.
No, I'm not gonna buy too much into the so-called beef, man. I just call it ego, man. Like I said, I respect both of them, man. They both made impact on their teams. They were both fantastic players, and
exactly.
And Conte Camacho waiting on the call to get into the hall.
That jacket is gonna come.
Oh, yeah, the jacket is coming.
The jacket gonna come. But we also know that Pro Bowls are also a popularity contest as well.
Yeah.
There's a guy, and I'm gonna be real. If you want to talk about another shutdown corner that doesn't get talked about, is Roland Lawrence, who played for us, the most interceptions in Falcons history. And then Lester Hayes, who's not in the Hall of Fame yet, 2 rings, and definitely has a resume that's better than both of those guys. So when you talk about shutdown corners, man, come on, man. Technique is technique. Let it go. Let it go. Y'all both did y'all thing.
Y'all both are great. Y'all both are great.
What's up, K-Dub?
I just want to just check in with everybody. I seen everybody on and say it was a great interview you guys did with Mr. Wells and add my 2 cents. Like you said, just 2 different players. I mean, like I said, it's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, just like it's 1,000 ways to cook a meal. So, man, like I said, you know, to each his own, whatever works for whatever athlete or whatever works for whatever chef, it's the same thing in that concept. So it's all about what works best for you. So.
Right.
Oh yeah, I agree with you, K-Dub.
And that's the whole thing, because the argument started that way, and then when you get Uncle Shay throwing gasoline on the fire, that's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? That's really not a good look to me.
I mean, he trying to make a controversy and people watch, you know, drive up the likes and the views.
We get it, but it's like he should have stayed the hell out of that. If you want to be honest, he should have stayed the hell out of it, because Chad Johnson went up against Asante when Asante was that. Think about it. People don't realize this. Okay, Asante was really good at zone, but when he was with the Patriots, Asante followed the number 1 receiver, if y'all remember.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He locked up with Chad. He locked up with all these dudes that we saw that was freakish athletes. Hell, he had to go against Julio every day after he left the Eagles. So I'm just saying, 2 great players. Y'all need to just put that mess aside. Let it go. Y'all are both. Asante's on his way to the Hall. Coach Prime, keep molding these young men and stop showing them the BS and being petty going back and forth. You are a coach. Let that mess go. You can't cackle like a woman, man. Yeah, I said it. And for y'all that want to get mad at me, I don't give a damn. He cackling like a damn woman. That's what that is. Be a man about it. It is what it is. Y'all disagree. Back off to your own corners. And you worry about your team now that your boys are not there. Get these boys to the playoffs. Stop worrying about the stuff off the field. Worry about being a coach right now.
Well, he's putting the coaching staff together. Good.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
He's got a coaching staff, but here's the thing. He needs to get this team from being mediocre, because they got smacked in the bowl game.
They did by BYU.
But BYU's not a slouch program either.
No, they're not. But I just think, it's ego, but I agree with Coach Brent, man. That man is putting together one of the most impressive coaching staff I have seen in quite a while. You got 4 Hall of Famers on your coaching staff. 4.
Yeah, so that's impressive.
So here's the thing that Atlanta has also done. They've restructured some contracts, they've also opened up $20 million with contract negotiations. So now you have enough money to sign free agents, and then you have enough money to sign your draft class at this point.
I got to give Terry credit, man. I mean, he had
$20 million ain't much. He's stretching the budget right now.
But though we had to make money
no money though.
We had no money.
But just think about it. When you pay 5 players or whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Out of your draft class, you got 5 players that we're going to end up paying. You're getting ready to really be giving these guys like $3-4 million a piece. So you're about to spend up all that money with this draft class that's supposed to be coming in.
Yeah, but we could be like the Bengals. They playing 3 players 45% of their cap. That's a lot.
They trying to have bedrocks there in their team.
We did that before, and look what happened.
Also, Kirk is hovering around Cleveland right now, from what I've been reading on reports. So he might be a Brown pretty soon. because the Giants.
Please let him be a Brown. That would be the ultimate Jim Haslam thing. Our donor from UT that owns the Cleveland Browns, I wish he would sign him. That'd be great.
Tim Couch 2.0.
But here's the other thing.
Yeah,
means John Paddock moves up. That means John Paddock moves up from the practice squad and actually becomes a backup. And he definitely is more than a capable backup.
I told you who I know y'all think I'm being a homer, but he is going to be available on the cheap now.
Who?
Hendon Hooker is going to be expendable in Detroit, and I would love to have him as a backup.
Is he still on the rookie deal?
Yeah, he's still on his rookie deal. I don't think they're going to let him go, Brent.
I don't think
they just signed the other kid as the backup. What's his name?
Bridgewater.
No, Bridgewater's just retired.
No. They signed somebody else. That's what I'm saying. He's going to be expendable. I'm telling you. They signed another kid. But anyways, I mean,
we're not against it.
I'd love to have him as a backup. The kid takes care of the football. He's athletic. He's smart. I mean,
you heard about Trey Lance?
Trey Lance is going to Canada.
Yeah, he's in the Canadian League. That man was the 3rd overall pick, man.
So with him going to Canada at this point, that really helps him to, and it's not a problem with him going to Canada because guess what? He gets to develop in the passing game because they pass the ball there, and he actually gets the speed of the game. If he actually has a great turnout there, don't think somebody's not going to give him a second shot.
Yeah, I think he do like a year or two over there, and then he come back. He got drafted so young anyway, so he still has time.
He got no playing time.
The injury messed him up because he started to figure it out, and then he gets hurt, and that just put him in a bad spot.
No playing time, none.
Yeah, but I think that. And when we look at it, we'll probably end up doing a pop-up show to touch on a little bit more. But the last thing I got for you guys, when we look at everything that's going on right now, Cool's got competition now. Kirk is chilling. Kirk is seeing where he could possibly go if they take him, because Cleveland might not even take him.
Please take him. Please take him.
I want him to take him, but he might not even go.
If they don't get Aaron Rodgers, I think they'll take him.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they'll put up with Aaron Rodgers before they put up with Kirk.
I don't know. I'm hearing speculation out there. He might go to Pittsburgh.
But it depends. Arthur Smith ain't trying to deal with that type of ego in that locker room. And Mike Tomlin is not gonna put that in that locker room. The Steelers think about
it. They're worried about taking mushrooms right now.
Think about it. They got rid of Antonio. They got rid of a prime Antonio Brown, who was still a dangerous player.
Yeah.
Before
he started just losing his mind, they got rid of him.
But if you add him if he's ready to play ball with DK Metcalf and motivated George Pickens, that's a problem.
With Aaron Rodgers going there, that would be nasty. Kirk Cousins, I wouldn't trust him in Pittsburgh because. Let's be honest. You're putting him in a situation where he's going back outside. He's been in the dome for X amount of years now.
He ain't trying to play outside, man.
And Pennsylvania gets cold. Western Pennsylvania is cold in the wintertime.
How the hell are you gonna make it in Cleveland? Boy,
it's bitterly cold in Cleveland too. But Western PA is a different cold.
Man, soon as that air come off that water, game over.
Well, both of those stadiums are by water. Both of those stadiums are by water.
Man, Kirk, that shit. We hope somebody take that deal, but that shit might have sailed, man. This league is past Kirk Cousins by.
But you know what? We still might be able to get some picks off of that.
It just takes one, K-Dub.
I want us to, but I'm just looking at the landscape.
Just takes one. Damn, they drafted Tim Tebow. It only takes one.
Hey, look, that's what I want. I mean, but it just look at the landscape. I'm like, boy,
I just want to get some. Anything is better than nothing at this point.
Yeah, I take 2/3, a third, and a fifth. I take whatever right now.
Give me a third or fourth rounder.
So lastly, fellas, we have that. We'll probably end up doing a pop-up show, if not tomorrow, maybe sometime this weekend or something. And we'll dive a little bit into it or whatnot. I know we went a little over, but again, Maurice definitely had some stories to tell today. Definitely enjoyed my boy Maurice Wells in here.
Sure.
You know, as I said before, when you talk about a guy that, you know, he had all the tools. I watched it. I practiced against that every day. That was what, and when I tell you, when I say we were that good, we were that good. So it was just unfortunate that he went into a system that he just didn't fit, as he said, and they didn't
I
use
just
his
hope
talent.
this, if people catch this interview, that some younger kids could take heed, man. Stay closer to home, man. You go out there to these far out schools, like you said, they'll recruit right over you, and you don't have an opportunity.
But
So
he was the number one at one point. He was the number one back in the country. He was.
yeah, no, I heard all that, man. I listened to the interview intently, but he didn't listen to his damn head coach. He said he was right.
But here's the problem, though.
Should have went to Tech.
Well, here's the problem, though, and I speak on it because I don't give a damn. My head coach was pretty much just like a guy that, as he said, a young guy that came in that truly just didn't care about certain things, and it should have been more of us going to school, and his influence wasn't that way, but it was a little bit more to that story that my boy didn't put out there. We ain't finna put that out there because, again, so it's a little bit more. Geis was right about that, but there was so many other things that went along with that story that we just didn't touch on, and we weren't going to touch on. So so some of us have ill feelings towards him, but then you got to give him his credit. He held the job for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? At our old high school, he just stepped down last year.
Yeah, but Jim Trucker was just hard headed, man. Because I remember,
Graybeard, that was you got to remember,
different time.
He actually coached at Youngstown State with one of the safeties that I played with was from up in Ohio, Rodney Boykin. He had a brother, Trent, that played for Tressel at Youngstown State and got a national championship ring. And now this is in 1991. You know what I mean? So that cat, that's when he cut his teeth and was coaching in that era. And he was it went right into Maurice's beginning was Tressel's end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It makes sense.
So I mean, it caught up with him. Father Time's undefeated, my man.
And it was, and remember some of the off the field stuff that happened financially that got put out there at Ohio State at that time, because he played. Because here's the thing that people don't know: he played with Michael Jenkins, who we drafted.
Yep,
Mike was an older guy when he was coming in, so Mike was leaving as he was coming in, so he got to play with him his freshman year. So I tell people all the time, man, is in that sense, you really have to look back at it, and it's a lot of things that go along with the system.
Oh yeah,
whether it's high school or whether it's college, or even when you get to the league, because most of the best football players don't even get a chance to get to the college level, and they could be playing, and a lot of them play on Sundays. And the problem is, you got bad coaches out there too. Tons.
What is there? 1,800 NFL players on active rosters.
Yeah, about 1,800.
Now think about that.
3%.
Think about that. Now think about the 100 and something schools that have minimum of not 85 players on there.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a who's who of the ultimate fraternity right there.
It's like over 115 schools.
Yeah, that's insane. And then that doesn't even account for the attrition for guys that don't retire and play for 15 years that stay there. They're not getting reshuffled or recycled. That's crazy.
Remember what he said, and that's the truth. He made it all the way to the end with Buffalo. Like, he was supposed to get signed with Buffalo as an undrafted free agent. But you got to remember, around that time, 2009, I think that was, what was that? Fred? I forget the guy's name. First name was Fred. I can't remember his name. He ended up getting signed. There was a couple of Buffalo Bill backs at that time, and Marshawn Lynch was still there too, by the way.
Oh yeah, Beast Mode.
Yeah, Beast Mode was still there at that time. So when you look at it, it sucks, but that's the part of the game that fans don't see. And that was one of the main reasons why I wanted him to do this interview, to let folks know that, look, it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's many guys that are top recruits in this country that can ball. And when they get to that next level, It's always something.
That's why you always good to fall back on that degree.
Yep,
And that's
that's
what
just
he
what
had
he
to do.
did.
That's what he, and mama know, but mama like, but go ahead, come an attorney.
And that's one of the things I'm proud of my boy. He got his degrees in attorney and he doing his thing. So, folks, it's never too late to go down another career path. Always look for opportunities to try to get better at life, no matter what it throws at you, whatever curves you might have, and whatever pitfalls you might have. Because guess what? Rome wasn't built in a day, and it took Garrett Morgan many times to try to create things, and he became successful. Thomas Edison as well. So just throw a little history in there for y'all. But we will see y'all possibly this weekend for a pop-up show. Y'all be good. K-Dub, great bid. Appreciate you, Brent, for helping me host the show
Great
tonight.
interview, fella.
Great
Appreciate
job,
that. So as we always say up in here, we'll catch y'all later. You either get right or you get left. Ghost.